let's talk about your YouTube channel. In particular, let's talk about growing your YouTube channel and use the energetics, specifically astrology, to understand whether you may be prone to fast YouTube growth or YouTube growth that is more slow and steady. My name is Clare Zivanovic and I am a specialist in understanding the energetics of people, places, things, situations. I have been studying astrology for at least 20 years now. I know the ins and the outs of this astrology game, and I am a human design analyst, and human design uses astrology takes astrology to a deeper level. But today we're going to use astrology to help you look at your YouTube potential and see what it may mean in regards to your YouTube destiny. Now, of course, all the YouTube factors for growth still apply here. It's essential that you're making content that you are passionate about, that you are confident in, that you take time to research your YouTube title and that your YouTube thumbnails are eye-catching. You are making content that is interesting or educational or fun, something that people want to watch. You've got all that covered. That's great. So let's jump into the energetics. Now, I suggest that you have your natal astrology chart with you as we look at this, because it will make it far more interesting for you as you watch this video. Now, the first thing that we want to look at is the houses. The houses that are most important connected to your YouTube potential. So the first house is the house of the self, of personality, of your outer behavior. The third house is the house of your communication, information sharing, and short-term connections. The ninth house is the house of publishing, broadcasting, social media engagement, educational content. And the 10th house is the house of career, your public image, and your reputation. Very important for YouTube. And the 11th house is the house of social networks, online communities, hello YouTube, and connections with large groups and friendships. Now, in all of these houses, there are certain placements and aspects within them that could either accelerate your YouTube growth. Yes, I got 1,000 subscribers. I got 100,000 subscribers really quickly. Yay, that's great for you. Or these placements could show that your growth is more likely to be slow and steady. So let's look at the detail. If you have the following in any of these houses, this is where you want to have your natal chart with you. If you have Saturn, if you have Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, if you have Taurus, if you have Chiron, if you have Pluto, or if you have squares to these houses, you may be more likely to have slow and steady YouTube growth, or patterns or mindsets that need to be cleared because they may be blocking your YouTube growth. So we'll go into that ever so slightly. So the Saturn slows things down. Saturn wants you to be in alignment with your authenticity, and it wants you to do things that really feel good for you. Saturn will slow you down if you're not doing that. But Saturn is about the long game. And that's why Saturn in any of these placements is quite significant. As well as Capricorn, because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Taurus is a placement that's also known for being quite fixed and slow. It'll get there in its own time. So in some of these houses, it could make the growth of what you're trying to achieve just a little bit slower. But that Taurian energy likes a solid foundation. So if you do that, the potential is definitely there. Now, Chiron energy in any of these houses, Chiron energy is related to a wounding from a past life. It's something that you need to work on throughout your entire lifetime in this life. So if you have Chiron in any of these placements, it may be something that you need to investigate. And there may be something there that's blocking you from, possibly unconsciously, from growing in a way that is feeling efficient. It is definitely something to look into if you have Chiron in these placements, and it will serve your evolution if you look into it as well. Pluto can also slow you down because Pluto is something deep that you came here into this lifetime to transform. It was a bit heavy. You're going to find it a little bit hard, and you've got to do a bit of work and clear some things to help release the potential of your Pluto placement. So if it is in any of these houses here, it's important to be aware of that and look into it deeper, because you may need to shift something there to reach your full potential. And squares to any of these houses, well, that's quite a deep astrology concept, but a square to a house can just make it a little bit hard and change how it's expressed. But we won't go into that there because that is complex. Now, having any of these placements, let's be clear, does not mean that you cannot become YouTube famous if that is what you want, or get 1 million subscribers if that is what you are aiming for, okay? I want you to be very clear about that. But it does suggest that it may be natural for you to take a little bit more time to get there, and that's okay. So just be patient. Having an awareness that you need more patience often can help us feel more patient in and of itself. I hope that makes sense. What about fast growth? Well, if you have any of the following placements in the houses that we are talking about, it suggests that you're more likely, more capable of achieving a fast path to YouTube success and gaining lots of subscribers. So if you have your sun, your natal sun, which is basically the largest part of who you are internally, who you feel inside. If you have your moon, which is your emotional sign, how you experience and process and share your emotions. If you have your Venus, which is the placement of things that we love and value, things that make us feel good. And if you have your Mercury, which is the planet of communication, the sign that rules the house that potentially has these in here, also influences whether the energy will be accelerated or decelerated. So just having this placement, it's a really great start. If you had your, let's say Venus, for example, in the 10th house, great, things you love are in the house of career. But if you had, say, a square impacting that, it would change how it was expressed. But if you had, say, a conjunction, that could make it even bigger and brighter. So, of course, there's lots of other details to consider. Now, Mr. Beast, he is the prime example of YouTube success that was built over time. And let's take a look at his astrology chart because it is all there. Now, this is his astrology chart. Let's take a little whip around his chart and see what we can understand based on what we already know. So, his first house is in Aries. It shows confidence in his outer personality. Now, he needed to build that over time. He wasn't already confident, but his ability to be quite confident in who he is and to share that and express that in the world, it was always there. His second house is in Taurus. And, oh, actually, that's his sun. So it's the big one. That's a lot of his personality right there. So this is telling us that he's likely to build strong finances because the second house is a house associated most strongly with money. He's likely to build strong finances provided he lays a strong and stable foundation first. So it might take a little bit of time. And that's the Taurian placement, just saying, let's take a bit of time to get this right. And he did. He didn't jump straight into YouTube and have videos that were an overnight success. Oh no. If you watch the documentaries about him, or if you've been watching him from the beginning, it took him many years and changing his content style to find what worked and to build his subscriber count. It was definitely a process. Now, his third house is ruled by Gemini, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury, which is a planet of communication in the house of communication. So the third house is house of communication. So there's a lot of communication ability in this man, a lot of ability, a lot of potential to communicate a lot of things, which is what he's doing. Now, the fourth house is interesting. We didn't talk about it before, but in this case, it's ruled by Cancer. And that shows that he's deeply emotional about his family and that he really wants to support them however he can. Now, if you know anything about his story to do with him and his mother, he has given his mum so much money, so much of what he's earned. He really genuinely wants to take care of her. It's a beautiful story. If you haven't seen the documentary about him, it's probably on many platforms. I've seen it on Curiosity Stream, which is a documentary streaming platform. There's a really excellent documentary about Mr Beast that charts his progress in great detail and all of the struggles and the journey. It's well worth watching, whether you're into Mr Beast or not, because it really gives you an insight into the YouTube journey that he went on. And it might give you a little bit of patience and confidence to continue with your road as well. Okay, now let's move on to the ninth house. He has his Pluto there. And remember, Pluto is one of those planets that can slow us down a bit. So this placement suggests that Mr. Beast needed to take time. It was a process to learn how to create and publish engaging social media content. And in that documentary that I mentioned before, it explains so well how in the beginning he was creating content that just was not landing. And he sees so many flaws in it. He's analyzed it quite well. It was a journey of learning what type of content connects with people and how to create it in a way that connects as well. So very fascinating. So thank you, ninth house Pluto. Now his 10th house is in Capricorn, which can also slow things just a little bit. So it means that his career and his public image are really only meant to flourish after he set a solid foundation that uses patience, because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And again, this placement goes back to that journey that Mr. Beast had of trying lots of different content types and styles until he really found his groove, and then he went all the way up. And in the 11th house, we have the Uranus placement. This is quite fascinating because it shows that Mr. Beast was destined to connect with large groups of people by doing things differently, by doing things in his own unique way, because Uranus wants us to be our own person and not just follow the crowd. And for him, connecting with people needed to be done in a way that was out of the box. And his content is pretty unique. Okay, let's just jump back to the full screen. Okay, now me personally, I am in the slow and steady side of this game, and you can probably see that by looking at my numbers, and that's okay because I love sharing my knowledge with people, and I trust that I am exactly where I need to be. I have a Capricorn moon in the 3rd house, which is telling me very clearly that pretty much all aspects of my life, including YouTube growth, are about the long game, being patient, setting a solid foundation, and it will work itself out. I would love to know if you have any of these slow and steady placements. Please tell me in the comments. It will help everyone who's in the growth stage of their YouTube channel to maybe feel a little bit more connected and supported. So feel free to share any placements that you have below. I would love to hear about them, and I'm sure other people would as well. If you have received any benefit from this video, I would adore it if you could please click the like button, maybe even subscribe or share it with someone that you care about. And I hope to see you in another video of mine again very soon.